Okay, so it's a bit of a different one today. We've got a mahogany glider. It may look like a sugar glider, but it's actually its own species. So let's get the journal ready for this little guy and I'll start talking away. Alright. Okay, so here we've got this guy, and I mean, he's the cutest thing ever compared to every other possum. Possums are just cute, aren't they? They're just bloody adorable. So, okay, so let's break down the scientific name. The scientific name for this guy is Petaurus gracilis. Petauridae gracilis. So Petaurus means rope dancer in Latin, therefore meaning to dance or to leap. And gracilis is slender in Latin, therefore it means slender rope dancer. So pretty much sums them up. They're a cute, graceful little fluffy flying possum. I think that covered everything. Okay, so yeah, these guys are pretty special. They're endangered, and they're a glider. They have a membrane similar to a bat, from their wrist to their foot, and the membrane helps them to just glide through the air. They are found in a small area on the far north Queensland coast between Townsville and Cairns. So that's really high up north. It's very tropical, very humid and hot up there. But there can be some dry areas too. Okay, so I'm going to get started on this journal spread. I just want you to picture that beautiful climate in Queensland pretend you're on a tropical holiday, because that's where this little guy lives. So I'm gonna do a bit of washi tape, I think, just up and down here. There we go. So I feel like this is a nice mahogany kind of colour, this tape. So yeah, this little guy, I don't know if you may have heard of a sugar glider. I do plan to do a video of a sugar glider at some point, but this guy is a little bit more endangered than a sugar glider. So they are named for their light brown colour, so they have like a I'll put up on the screen a visual of the colour mahogany. If not, I guess you know, because it is like a brown colour. But it's also named after the significance in the mahogany, in the swamp mahogany tree. So this swamp mahogany is very abundant in the territory of these possums. So that's why they named that. But when they did name it, and they named it mahogany after the swamp mahogany tree, it's because these little guys actually helped pollinate the swamp mahogany tree and a bunch of banksias and eucalyptus around their area. They're actually one of the biggest pollinators in their area. So that's nice, because often when we think of pollinators, we think of bees, we think of maybe even butterflies, and they're the ones that go around and collect the pollen. But these guys here feed on, they consume pollen. They transfer pollen on fur and transport it through their home range. They are key pollinators for eucalyptus and banksia. So here I have some banksias. and eucalyptus. There we go. So I'm thinking I might frame this a little bit. Okay, so these guys consume pollen, sap and nectar, and they transfer pollen on their fur and through their home range. So I've got these Banksia looking kind of plants. I mean, they're a type of Banksia. I'm not going to be too specific about what exactly they are, what species, but there would be these kinds of trees in their territory, where the swamp mahogany glider lives. So this one actually looks quite similar to the swamp mahogany tree, and the scientific name for that one is Lophostemon swavolens. Oh, that's a hard one to pronounce, I'm sorry. And I might do another video on that actually, but it's basically just an abundant eucalyptus in this possum's range, and because it's so abundant in its area, that's why it's been named both after the swamp mahogany tree and the mahogany glider. So that's that. So this guy, obviously by his appearance, this is a medium brown mahogany color all along their back and most of their body, and they've got this half black, bushy, long, slender tail, which is where they get part of their name from. And the black tip on the end is great for camouflage and stuff. They are nocturnal, so obviously they blend in very well in the dark. And yeah, we've got pale head with black stripe running from its nose to its back, so it's got a black stripe all the way down there. This is actually a pretty good position, a pretty natural position for this kind of possum, so that's really sweet. You don't often see, like, he's about to run along the branch there. And they've got a light brown to orange kind of fluffy belly. It looks pretty white in this picture, but that's pretty accurate too. So yeah, they are quite a small possum, or maybe like a normal size for a possum, but they are bigger than a sugar glider and smaller than the biggest glider, which is a greater glider. And they weigh about 500 grams, which is 17 ounces, and they are about 70 centimeters in length, which is 27 inches. And yeah, they are endangered. They're the most threatened of Australia's gliders. There are a number of gliders in Australia, at least a handful, and yeah, these guys are the most threatened, so that's not great. But yeah, I think it's of the area where they're found, it's just so specific, I think. And there's only about 2,000 individual possums left in the wild. Yeah, so let's do some decorating and I'll get to it a bit better. Let's do it on my mat. These guys are actually a species that I haven't worked with because they are so endangered and probably not very well known, and there wouldn't be many places where I could work with them, you know. They're pretty protected, and a lot of the times these animals that are in these specific areas, it's top secret to everyone where the site of these where these animals breed and where they live, and or known populations. Like sometimes people just don't know at all, but a lot of the time it's top secret locations because they want to protect them and stuff. So that's good, that's interesting. I'll just put that there we go, that's a bit nicer, a bit more subtle. So I have worked with a number of gliders and possums. They are very cute. They are very interesting marsupials actually. There is a number of interesting marsupials in Australia, the land of marsupials. But Australia is also the land of parrots and kangaroos. So, I mean, kangaroos are a marsupial as well, but yeah, they're just... Sorry if my voice is reeking with sarcasm, because the amount of times I have had to adjust and change batteries in these cameras today, it's getting difficult. So, I've completely lost track where I was up to, but I'm going to try to finish decorating, and we'll see where we end up. How's that? That might be a bit much. So I've got these little, I got this little adored picture, word, because they are an adored little animal. They are stupidly cute. So we'll do that like that, and I think this guy, so we just need this one here. How about we do it that way a little bit? Here we go. I think that's pretty good. So I'll stick that down. Bear with me. I wanted to showcase these plants because the Mahogany Glider has such a big place as a pollinator in these rainforests. So let's have a little talk about the rainforest. These Mahogany Gliders are found in wet sclerophyll woodlands, which is thick, hard leaves like eucalyptus and banksia, just like these leaves here. And they can tolerate dry and nutrient poor soil. So these trees are pretty hardy, and they are also in low rainfall areas and get a lot of fires. So it's one of those things, it's a pretty rugged country, Australia, and this particular niche where the animals, where the Mahogany Glider lives with these particular banksias and eucalyptus trees, along with many other along with many other species, flowering plants, etc., they pollinate, they rub their fur against the flowers when they're eating the sap or the liquid, and or the nectar, sorry, and they move it around the rainforest, and that's great for biodiversity, that's great for genetic diversity, so you're getting a species in one corner of their territory moving around in the whole rainforest. So it's really good for just natural selection and getting the hardier plants to just grow better, because this glider is gliding between the trees and spreading the pollen of very different and varied trees, so they can spread their genetics around. It's really interesting, actually. And because they are able to do that, this makes them a very important niche filler. And there are a lot of animals in Australia, and plants as well, that are the main, how do I explain it, species in Australia that fill very unique niches. And I know that sounds a bit strange, but I'm hoping to explain it a bit more when I go through these things. And these very specific niches are very important for these very specific animals and plants that grow and live there, because without them, none of it would exist. So to have a animal like a pollinator that pollinates so many different species, it's really interesting and really important. It's a good thing to really look into and discover. So the behaviour of the mahogany glider, because they're highly mobile, they get around a lot, they go from tree to tree, obviously pollinating the flowers as they go. They don't deliberately pollinate, but as they feed, they're spreading it around, and that's great. So therefore they are arboreal, which means tree dwelling, but they can glide between 30 to 60 meters, usually around 30 to 40 meters, which is 98 to 196 feet. So it's a fair distance. And that's just gliding from tree to tree. And they each have a territory of, they can have a territory of up to 25 hectares. So that is a lot of land. A lot of land. So when they visit these trees and stuff at night, just feeding, obviously they're nocturnal, so yeah, at night, they make dens in these tree hollows, which they actually have multiple tree hollows, dens in the hollows, and they can have up to 9 dens, and during mating season, this is what they use, obviously, to foster their young. So with these 9, probably more like 5-ish dens each, they actually sleep with just their partner and their young, whereas a lot of other possums will sleep in groups, in family groups. So they'll have a den that's dedicated to like 6 or so possums of different relative order. And yeah, these mahogany gliders are slightly different because they have just their partner in and their current young in their own tree, and then when the young are old enough, they go out into the world and do their thing, and yeah, the pair will stay or move around trees, but will stay together. So they are actually monogamous, which means they pair with the same partner for life, and they will have 1 or 2 young per year, but as I said, they will grow up and move on, and yeah, they'll keep having young and yeah, hopefully move on to the next area, and you know, that's how the distribution spreads out over the rainforest. So it's really interesting. They are an unusual type of glider because of this breeding thing. I mean, they do just breed with their one partner, and they have just that family unit in the nest box. So when they glide, they also glide silently, which is really interesting. It's a very interesting little animal, especially behaviorally. Like, they're just, I love how active they are and how they make their world go around the rainforest that they live in. So that's just beautiful, I think. Okay, there he is. Alright, I think I want to do some little... So yeah, I wanted to have a quick talk too about the other species similar to this guy. So there are sugar gliders, as I mentioned, and we've got the greater glider. There are a number of gliders in Australia, just a lot of gliders. And I'm hoping to do some videos on different ones, but basically the sugar glider looks very similar to these guys, to the mahogany, but much smaller. They're actually called fairy gliders as well, I'm pretty sure. So they are just tiny, cute little puffballs. But these guys, they're about 70 centimeters in length, or 27 inches. So they're getting there, but they're not huge. I'm just gonna do a few finishing touches here. I might do a little bit of journaling on this page. So here we are with the mahogany glider. Bit of a unique one, but I really hope you enjoyed this video today, and I really hope I can keep doing this because it's pretty good. I don't mind it at all. So please leave any comments or suggestions in the comments box, and yeah, let me know what you think. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.